Hello, YouTube family. Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to look at the soccer news of today. We'll get into 10 new topics, and my source will be the Daily Mail Sport. Um, the goal is to look at the topic headlines and give you guys my opinion of what these analysts are trying to say and what we think is actually going on. So let's get into it. So we see here the first topic, Jurgen Klopp here. The article saying a dry pitch, calling out players' attitude, and now saying the injury crisis was like a witch in the building. Jurgen Klopp is bristling, and it's no wonder with Liverpool playing catch up already. So yeah, after 2 games in the Premier League for every club, especially Liverpool, it seems like Jurgen Klopp is complaining about the pitches. Very interesting. Whether that's an excuse or the truth, we'll never know. But that's something to think about, as well as calling players' attitude and the idea that there's an injury crisis going on in his club, and that's true. You got Thiago out, Matic is out. So yeah, and then of course trying to figure out his striker situation since Mario Sane left. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. You see there a picture of Man City smiling in the left side, and they won their 2 games out of 2. But Liverpool have drawn twice already with the promoted side Fulham, and of course the Leeds, another lower level team in the Premier League. So it's going to be interesting. We know that the type of style that a lot of these lower level teams play against the top teams is a very defensive style, or they play very aggressively, and it's all up to the ref to call certain plays and what's going on. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see within 10 games how things really do play out. Usually the first 5 games are more or less still of a preseason type of style. Even though the Premier League has started, you won't really see a good team until like 10 games in. Usually, you know the end of October, early November. So we'll see there how things truly are with most teams. We'll kind of see the table shifting because right now it's not as accurate as we can predict. But obviously, good for Man City. They're going through it. So let's see what happens. Manchester United's 19 million move for and Adrian Rabiot on the verge of collapsing over wage demands set by the midfielder and his mother Veronica, despite the Old Trafford's club offering for him to become one of their highest earners. So it looks like Rabiot's mom and United representatives are not agreeing on some type of wage because he's obviously getting high wages in Juventus. So she assumes that he should be getting high wages at any top club. And of course, um, they're trying to advocate that, hey, we're giving your son one of the highest contracts, within the club's organization. And for some reason, I guess the numbers are off there. But, at this point, Ten Hag just needs a top rated player that he sees could really help him in the system. But I hope he doesn't just go out there and just start grabbing things because even though he is in a desperate point, because they've lost 2 games in a row, and the pundits are after them, the fans are after him, and we know that this is going to be a long process. This isn't going to take them winning a lot. It's going to take time. It's going to take not tomorrow, not in a month or two. For him to implement his standard, it's going to take a few years. So if we can, just back him, it's going to be good. Yes, the results are terrible. 4-0 loss, like to a lower level Premier League team. That's very unheard of. I get it if it was 1-0, but this is 4-0. And of course, if they can make this deal happen, I'm not a fan of this guy because, a lot of people say he's a very hard player to work with, which is why Juventus have put him in the youth team. They've specified that, he has this attitude problem. His mom is even extremely harder to work with. And so when you have these type of issues and a player comes to your no matter the type of player, it's difficult because when money is involved, it makes it even harder because you're expressing that, hey, we think you're valuable, so we're going to give you this amount of money. But we realize that your attitude isn't helping us. You're not listening to the coaches, the way they want you to run, or the way they want you to understand their tactics, and you're just doing whatever you want, this is what causes you to be placed, on these reserve teams or the youth level teams. So we'll see. It will be interesting to see what happens. The deadline is still open to, purchase players. So yeah, hopefully they do sign him, I guess. I personally wouldn't. I would look for someone like a Weston McKinney type of player, who is going to run through the wall for you. Rabiot is probably a guy that he's going to look at the situation, try to understand what Ten Hag is saying, and he may not even go through with what Ten Hag is saying. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. Looks like Juventus got their first win of the Serie A season, which started a few days ago. Mihajlovic scoring 2, Di Maria scoring 1. I really like the signing of Di Maria. I think he's a very good player if you use him properly. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is of age already. He's probably past his prime, but he still can give you, 10 to 15 goals, and a few assists as well. So good for Juventus for getting him on a free. I was kind of surprised that PSG let him go so easy, not actually giving him more of a new contract. But hey, it is what it is. And so they're using him to his benefit. Sadly, he did get injured during the game, so we won't see him for a few weeks or for a few games. Yeah. Dele Alli emerged as a shocking target for Turkish side. Besiktas with the struggling former England star just 7 appearances away from triggering a clause which would see Everton have to pay Tottenham 10 million euros. Yeah, very disappointed in this player. He was one that I thought was going to be great, especially if you watch the time when Pochettino was at Tottenham. He was a really good player. He had some crazy sick goals. Go watch the highlights. But yeah, for some reason, when they sacked Pochettino and then Mourinho came in and he tried to help him out. And Mourinho, he's a guy who gives second chances. Even though we always speculate that he's a hard man to, please. He's, very direct and can drop players. It doesn't matter the type of player you are, he will drop you. And since whatever happened, I guess after the collapse of their loss to Liverpool in the UEFA Champions League final of that year, I can't remember what it is, but you know he declined very rapidly. Whether it was the media giving him a lot of attack, or he just players go through this. We know this, and it's hard, but he went to Everton. We thought he would resurrect something there, but obviously he's on the bench there and he's probably not happy. And you can just see in that picture there, he's not too happy, with the way things are going for his career. And I'm pretty sure he's not even in his 30s. Maybe he is. I'm not sure. But yeah, I guess he's going to go to the Turkish league. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, a player of that caliber, you would think he could, resurrect himself a little bit. Newcastle must fight off interest from Atletico Madrid. Um, Juventus and AC Milan in pursuit of winger Christian Pulisic, as Chelsea appeared to send the 58 million euro American out on loan. Yeah, very disappointed because I'm a big Chelsea fan. That Tuchel isn't trying to implement Christian Pulisic into the team. Obviously, by Raheem Sterling, who plays on the same side, so I don't disagree with that. But I think if you try to make a structure, and Tuchel has a very, you know, exaggerated type of tactics. So it's like a chessboard. He plays a very high three, three defenders, two wing backs on the side, overloading the midfield and, having, little room up front. So maybe it just doesn't fit, Pulisic's style of play. But, as a young player, you should always be implemented to improve yourself and to try to adapt, and I guess Tuchel doesn't see that he can do it and that he would only use him more as a sub, and Pulisic thinks, I need to be playing more. So hopefully one of these teams could pick him up on loan and he could actually do pretty good. And of course, new Chelsea owner Todd Bowley looks to implement U.S. style contract policy at Stamford Bridge with Mason Mount and Reece James among youngsters set to be offered 7-year deals. Now, this is awesome. I'm really happy that our new owner is doing this new type of implementation because we've seen through the past, half a decade, a lot of clubs don't give higher than 4-year, deals. We've noticed that um, things change very rapidly within 2, 3 years. Some players don't even, live up to that 4-year contract. They just, either leave or retire. But yeah, those are usually the main two aspects. And really nice because these are our, I would say, our top players, Mason Mount and Reece James. They're your youngsters that have been through the system, have won Champions League, um, have done really well for us. Last game, you've seen Reece James' goal, very nice. Sadly, we lost. We drew 2-2 with Tottenham, but yeah, we'll continue on that. So let's see a few more topics here. Yeah, the Darwin Nunez needs to be more street smart. There's no quick fix at Manchester United, while Antonio Conte has finally given Spurs a nasty streak. 10 things we learned from the Premier League this weekend. So yeah, sadly, Darwin Nunez got sent off. I really like this player. He has a character about him and a charisma. He has a dog in him. Like, I can tell. Like, you just look at that picture. You can tell. Like, if this was a street fight, you wouldn't want to mess with this guy. But obviously, in the Premier League, there are rules. You can't, be overly aggressive and headbutt people. So, and that's basically what he did to the opponent. Hopefully, he'll learn from this quickly and he'll serve that suspension that he needs to, and he gets up and firing and helping Liverpool get to where they are. And of course, yeah, Manchester United is a whole big issue that isn't going to take a few days to figure out or sort out. I personally think Harry Kane should or Harry Maguire should not be the captain. He's not a leader. He can't really, I don't even know what he's saying to the teammates. It'd be interesting to hear inside the locker room what this guy is saying to his teammates. His body language on the field is like he's contradicting himself. He'll do a bad pass, gives it to the opponent, then tackles the opponent, and then yells at the referee like, "I didn't do anything." Like, dude, we all saw that. Like, come on. Bruno Fernandes is a whiner. I'm sorry, but what you did last year is good and all, but come on, man, this is a new season. Let's go. Let's get things going. Get those passes in. Get the ball rolling. And then obviously Conte. I'm surprised at how quickly he's got this Tottenham team rolling. He's trying to get them out of that curse of, a trophyless few decades to the way they played against Chelsea. Yes, it wasn't, up to Chelsea's level, but he was able to, get nasty, get at it. You can just tell, like, he's that person, and I kind of like the whole, him and Tuchel going at it, at the end. It's passion. It's that thing from Italy, he comes from, and Tuchel, I think, was not just provoked, but he engaged in it. It was awesome. It was this aggression. We knew they weren't going to fight. Like, come on. They're not going to fight. They were just, playing in character, in sync with each other. So it was pretty good and awesome to see. Let's see what else we got here. Um, Interesting. Shut your mouth and eat it. It's embarrassing. Mikel Arteta's X-rated rant at Arsenal players after their top 4 hopes were ended by last season. Unacceptable 2-0 defeat at Newcastle. So yeah, there's this documentary out on Amazon Prime. Go and watch it. It's really good. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard great signs. And it was, I think I'm not sure if it was his first season or second season as Arsenal head coach. And yeah, they just missed the top 4 last year to a Newcastle team that has a whole other category of issues that we can go to later. You can see here he's vividly upset, and I like coaches who are honest. I don't need them to sugarcoat it. I don't need them to go around the bush, go straight through it. And that's what he did here. Yes, the foul mouth, maybe that's not something you should be doing. I advocate no one to, use foul language. But let's be honest, say it as it is. We lost, and he seems like the type of coach that is honest with his players. I don't agree with everything he does. The whole Aubameyang situation happened. I'm not sure I can agree with that and what he was thinking there. Maybe there was more to the story than I could see, but yeah, he seems like a coach that I think if Arsenal, trust in him, give him a few more years, they can get back to those glory days as Arsene Wenger had, from the 2000s. it's possible. They just gotta have a little more faith in him. Let's do two more and then we'll end. Let's see. Oh, this is a good story. Rudiger is off to a flying start. Bradford duo shine in Manchester United thrashing, and Gabriel Jesus runs riot for Arsenal. But who is on top of this week's Premier League power ranking? So yeah, Rodrigo, um, really good player. Good for him having to go and have a flyer start. Bradford duo, the game against United. Like I said, I was watching the counterattacks. Go and watch that game. Bradford versus Manchester United. The counterattacks that they had, and of course the execution of United's mistakes. Very good. Props to Bradford. Good for them. And of course, Gabriel Jesus, running right for Arsenal, doing really well, leaving from Manchester City, a place where he's won many titles, to, a new project here or at Arsenal. Good for him. Noticing that, hey, Erling Haaland's coming in. I'm not going to be the number one. Let me get out. Let me go to a different club. And he did the right thing. He probably knows Arteta well, and good for him. And obviously, City and Chelsea are doing their thing, going hard at it. Good for them. Obviously City scoring loads of goals because, the way Pep plays is, yes, they may concede one or two, but man, they can play good. And then, of course, Chelsea battling it out with Tottenham. I'll say go watch that game. Not just the drama and the high intensity of Tuchel versus Conte, at the end, but man, what a great battle that was. So yeah, go check that out. All right, let's do one more story and then we'll end. Barcelona are ready to go to war with outcast Martin Braithwaite over his refusal to leave the club as the Danish striker digs in his heels over seeing out the last 2 years of his deal. Yeah, so we know that, Barcelona are, going through a great deal of financial issues, which somehow they're able to resolve by selling, these TV rights, and it's good for them that they have, somewhat almost registered all their players. So good for them on that. But it seems like, some of these players that they want out that were there from the previous regime, like Martin Braithwaite, they think he is not an asset. And of course he thinks, hey, I need my money. I'm going to stay here and fight for my place. But we know Martin Braithwaite is not one of those players that is a top player like Lewandowski or Aubameyang or Depay. Like, when they signed him, even I was a little bit concerned. Nothing against him as a player or his ethnicity. It's just top tier players, and he's just someone I guess Xavi doesn't see as a focal point to him. So it'll be interesting to see if this goes to the courts and he tries to battle it out and at least get his money. But it looks like he's out the door. If I was him, I wouldn't brush it. I'm pretty sure he can get suitors back in the Premier League where he's from, or maybe from a different league, because he still got that status of, hey, I played for Barcelona. I did score goals. I wasn't a flop there, so hopefully he can figure all that out. So thank you guys for joining me today and listening to my analysis on some of the headlines today on Daily Mail Sport, the soccer news that was going on. And hopefully we'll see you next week and continue this as I go. Leave comments below, and hopefully you guys like my analysis. And yeah, thank you. And till next time.